Nu så vill jag hälsa välkommen till Aktiespararnas digitala aktiekväll, och nu kommer vi att få lyssna på Steve Carchedi, vd för Allarity Therapeutics, och jag heter Lars Håkansson och är kvällens moderator. Ni kan ställa frågor till bolaget antingen via livechatten i YouTube-kanalen eller mejla oss på event@aktiespararna.se eller också skicka ett sms. And now I will switch over to English and say very welcome to you, Steve Carchedi, CEO for Allarity Therapeutics. Please present the company for us.
Thank you, Lars, and thank you everyone for the opportunity. I'm delighted to be with you this evening. I'm going to talk to you about a company that is really exciting, Allarity Therapeutics. We are an oncology company that has a unique diagnostic platform. So we develop oncology therapeutics, but we also include a diagnostic component to it. And what it allows us to do is to accurately and clinically predict and identify the patients that will likely respond to therapy. And so our tagline, as you can see here, is Allarity Therapeutics, truly personalized cancer care finally realized. And that's what we have been able to do as a company. So let me give you some more of the details in just a moment. So if I can move to the next slide, please. So we're a public company listed on the First North Exchange, NASDAQ in Sweden, of course, but as a public company, I put up our public disclosure and disclaimer as it relates to forward-looking statements that I'll be making in this presentation today. So next slide, please. So Allarity, in a snapshot, if you will, is a therapeutic company. We were founded in 2004 in Denmark, in Copenhagen, traded, as I mentioned, on the NASDAQ First North Exchange. We are a company that has not only therapeutics, but this diagnostic component. We have 6 products in our portfolio that we're developing for cancer. But in addition to the actual active agents treating cancer, we have a very unique platform. We call it DRP, or Diagnostic Response Predictor Platform. It is a computer modulated and simulated diagnostic tool where we evaluate tissue samples and tumor samples, and by virtue of the details of the tissue and tumor itself, we can accurately predict which patient would respond to a particular therapy, and in our case, therapies that we're developing on our own. We have strong intellectual property protection. We've got over 30 plus patents for our products, and we create these DRP measurement tools, if you will, for a multitude of cancer agents, most of which of our agents, but also we develop them for all cancer agents. We have over 75 developed to date. Very exciting system, and I'll talk more about that in just a moment. The company is run by an experienced management team, which I'll share with you in just a moment, the details of individuals that have been in industry for a long period of time. And our goal and results will be once we bring forward these exciting drug treatments, which I'll demonstrate for you how and they'll make an impact in a treatment disease, we'll be able to kind of transform the way cancer is treated in the future. Next slide, please. So this slide represents the details of our portfolio. And as you can see, we have at least 6 products in development. These are all cancer-related therapeutics in development. The top 3 products, Davitinib, Stenoprip, and Exempra, represent our priority portfolio. These are assets that have been acquired from big pharma, and they have very unique anti-cancer properties, and we are developing them for treatment of high unmet need. Our lead compound, Davitinib, is planning to file its US NDA this year. Again, this is along with our DRP tool to help show and demonstrate that we can double, and in some cases even triple, the response rates of treatment. The second compound in our portfolio is a compound called Stenoprip. It's part of a class of drugs called PARP inhibitors in phase 2 in the clinic today at Dana-Farber for ovarian cancer. And it's a very exciting molecule in addition to its cancer properties that I'll share with you more in just a moment. But we are developing for yet another high unmet need. We're able to take a drug like this Stenoprip, which we acquired from Eisai, and double the response rates for patients, which is really quite exciting. And then finally, the last product in our priority portfolio is an asset called Exempra. This is a microtubule inhibitor. It's already approved in the United States, and we're in the process of filing for its approval in Europe, again, utilizing our DRP tool and technology, taking our platform and integrating it as part of the drug development, filing in these respective markets, and ultimately bringing them to the market and to patients as quickly as we possibly can. All of our portfolio, including the remaining assets in our portfolio, are all being developed in combination with our predictor tool. And we have third parties that also that we've partnered with to bring forward the remainder of our assets. So please note that Stenoprip, the lead compound that I mentioned here, has not only anti-cancer properties, but we are also developing it as a treatment for COVID. And I'll share more of the details with you in just a moment. Next slide, please. So as a company, we are a relatively small enterprise. This is a slide that represents other companies that are trying to utilize computer simulation, computer modeling, AI type tools to enhance drug development and ultimately meet in the market. And what's unique about us compared to many of our potential, let's say, competitors is we believe that our company has a tremendous amount of unrealized upside potential. And case in point, there are companies that are based here in the US. One, by example, is a company called Cura Oncology that is attempting to do what we are doing with only one asset in their portfolio, and they have a market valuation of nearly $2 billion. And as you can see, Allarity as a company with more than 6 assets, 3 of which are in late stage in the clinic, and 1 eminently about to be filed with an NDA, and our valuation is quite frankly, we believe, undervalued. So the potential and the growth of the company is really before us, and this is all in part because there's a tremendous amount of interest in diagnostics playing an important role to be true predictors of treatment outcomes. And while other companies have attempted to try to solve that problem, I'm proud to say that at Allarity, we have solved that problem, and I'll share with you how we've done it in just a moment. Next slide. With respect to our management team, this is just a quick snapshot. What you're going to find is that we have an experienced management team of everyone having 25 plus years industry experience with a lot of the very iconic company names that you would come to know. They've also have a demonstrated track record of success of developing oncology drugs. I myself have been fortunate to have developed and launched over a dozen oncology products in my career, and all of which have exceeded $1 billion in sales each. And many of my team members have been able to do the same. So I'm pleased and excited that we've got a group of individuals that are not necessarily cutting their teeth, if you will, on this company. These are folks that have experience and have done this time and again, and we're about to bring forward something really exciting to cancer patients that's not been seen elsewhere. Next slide. So I mentioned our main tool is a DRP, and it is a predicting modeling system whereby we can take computer algorithms, data processing, and tremendous amount of information, and use that as a way to predict if a patient is going to respond. What's extraordinarily unique about what we do is everything that I've shared with you now is more than just theory. We've actually conducted 35 clinical trials, and I'll share that with you in just a moment. So we've actually demonstrated it in the clinic. So in this cartoon depiction, if you think about what the holy grail is for oncology, our traditional way that we treat patients is we treat them all the same with a given therapy. And of course, many of these treatments have side effect profiles that are less than perfect. What we're able to do is identify which of those patients in a given population, utilizing our DRP computer modeling tool, to demonstrate who exactly will respond. And what that does for us, of course, is that it eliminates any patients that, of course, would not benefit at all from the treatment, and also including those that wouldn't benefit from the side effects from these difficult drugs. And so we've taken something that demonstrates low patient benefit to something that can demonstrate significantly high patient benefit. So how does it all work, and how do we create a DRP, and what does it kind of look like? Next slide, please. This cancer depiction is a way to kind of give you a flavor. Cancer is extraordinarily complex. It has a tremendous amount of signaling and gene expression. To the left of the bar of the screen here, of course, demonstrates just one example of one pathway if you associated with cancer. And so trying to understand that with just say the human brain is often extraordinarily difficult. And so what we've been able to do is we are, by virtue of getting the biopsies of the patients and then running them through a filtering system technique that we have, we let the tumor tell us what's important from the cell lines and all the various data. So we take the information, we add to it understanding of transcriptomics, human system biology, in vitro data, a tremendous amount of information through a multitude of sources that helps us then filter out unimportant information about how this tumor is working, and then provide us insight on what is really important in human biology, so that we can align the treatment, of course, with the appropriate patient. So we look at the yield of over 400 genes and gene expression. So it's an extraordinarily complex model that's running through high throughput screening of a computer system. And from our models and algorithms, we can identify what ultimately will be kind of a score. And that score will determine whether or not that patient will be a high responder or low responder. So let me show you a little bit more about how the steps of this process works. A cancer patient is presented to an oncologist. The patient's step one is the patient's biopsies are sampled, depending upon what type of cancer they have. They send that to us. We actually take that biopsy, it's collected. We run it through our DRP algorithm, which determines, based on thousands of other biopsy samples and clinical data in various databases, plus a series of other markers. And we can then identify through that system and through our DRP filtering computer models whether or not a patient would likely respond. And then the end result is step three is we can tell which of those patients that have been biopsies are going to have a strong response to therapy versus those that would have no response to that therapy. So it's really scientifically refining the best patient population for a given drug, for a given disease, for a given patient. And what's remarkable about what we've been able to accomplish is this is not theory. This is not just conjecture. We've actually run over 35 different independent clinical trials. And this is a sample of some of the products with a DRP demonstrating that there is correlation, that we can demonstrate our DRP is an accurate predictor. So you can see to the left of this slide examples of a number of different products that are part of the mainstay of treatment today. And our DRP device or tool allows patients and doctors to be able to identify the appropriate therapy that ultimately increases with response rates. So that's our clinical validation. And that's what's very unique about companies. But the proof is ultimately in the pudding, as they say. And so let me share with you a couple of examples. Our lead compound, davitinib, is a product that we acquired from license from Novartis. Novartis spent over $50 million developing this drug. We've taken this drug, it's now in our portfolio. We've added to it a very unique DRP tool for its development in renal cell carcinoma. And we are in the process of filing with the NDA this year. So that's a pretty remarkable position for us to be in. We will be participating in a multi-billion-dollar market with the agent. So we will have not only the DRP tool to identify the diagnostic potential, but we also own the therapeutic itself that we've increased and licensed from our friends at Novartis. And the right of the slide gives you an idea of the potential of a treatment like the davitinib, which is a pan-tyrosine kinase inhibitor, which is a unique class of drugs. The marketplace for these kind of drugs are anywhere between 30 and 60 billion dollars. So the potential for treatment because of the high unmet need is pretty exciting and pretty significant for us. But if you look at the data, and to give you an example, this is just a snapshot of what the clinical data would look like. And the DRP tool, each of these dots represents a patient, if you will. And obviously, if a patient falls into the green dot segment, that means a patient will respond to this treatment. And if a patient falls in the bottom of the screen in the red area, that means a patient does not respond to the treatment, even though in this trial, those patients were given therapy. What we've been able to do by introducing the DRP platform is that we've been able to take a normal response rate, which would have been 8%, and we've been able to improve it to 18%. Now, that's pretty remarkable in the world of cancer today, simply by identifying the right patients with the right drug, and in this case, davitinib. So that's one example of, and that's the data that's part of our phase 3 trial for the filing in the US. The second example, of course, is the Stenoprip asset. This is part of a class of drugs that is extraordinarily exciting. This is a drug that was licensed originally from Eisai. We've again developed a DRP, validated both in ovarian and pancreatic cancer. We're in phase 2 trials right now for ovarian cancer. All right, this is a market that is expected to reach $9 billion by 2027 in ovarian cancer. There are a number of companies that are down the path. We are a multi-targeted dual mechanism agent. It has very, very unique properties. What's unique about what we're doing is we also have our DRP tool, which allows us to increase the response rates, which I'll share with you in just a moment. If you look at the competitive landscape and understand how our drug will perform versus others, you can see there's some big names that are in this space showing the response rate. But what's unique about ours is that, one, it does not have the safety toxicity profile that many of these other compounds do. Ours is multi-targeted. It's going to be the first in class with a DRP. So it will have improved efficacy, no myelotoxicity, less drug resistance, and ultimately a better patient outcome. That's exciting enough. But beyond that, we as a company have also recently found in some of our early studies that Stenoprip also is a very active antiviral against COVID-19 because of its very unique mechanism of action. We've tested it and demonstrated and published our results that this is a potential therapy for treating COVID-19 in the standard presentation. We are now in the process of doing additional testing for it for the British variant and the South African variant for COVID. So this is an asset that is going down two paths, all within our company. One, it's going down an oncology development path to ultimately demonstrate response rates. But two, it is a possible treatment for COVID-19 right now. And we're in the process of moving that program forward. The last is a product called Exempra. This is, I mentioned, a product that's already approved in the US. It already has sales in the US. We're taking it. Again, we have the rights to it outside the United States. We're adding to it our DRP platform and utilizing that to basically increase the response rates, which I'll share with you in just the next slide. This is for metastatic breast cancer. This is a similar slide. We've been able to take a drug who's got a response rate of about 11%, and we've been able to double it, in some cases triple it, depending upon the patient population. So if you think about an approved drug in the US that we can take, add to it our very unique technology, computer modeling and simulation tool, then enhance its activity as a result of that, resulting in picking the right patients that are going to respond and sparing those patients that will not respond to the details of treatment that they wouldn't otherwise benefit from. Finally, the intellectual property position of our company is quite strong. As I mentioned, we've got a multitude of patents that we continue to grant. We're leading the field in computer algorithm-based technology in cancer development. We're one of the few companies that, and the only company that actually has clinically validated the data. We have over 19 patents already pending, and we have a complete and consistent global patent estate for this technology. And finally, just a summary of exactly kind of the course of events that will be happening for our company over time. We just announced a rights issue with our existing shareholders. I mentioned to you a little bit about Stenoprip and its COVID development and its potential for the African variant and British variant and developing it there. We are in the process of moving and evaluating a possible listing on the US NASDAQ exchange. We are filing our NDA this year, again, for our lead compound that will participate in a multi-billion-dollar market. And we've got other products that are just around the horizon in phase 2 development for various cancers with high unmet need, all utilizing the DRP technology, which is best in class and first to the potential market in delivering computer modeling, algorithm-based tools to enhance and improve drug development and, of course, patients' lives. So let me stop there to see if you and Lars, your colleagues, have questions. That's a quick run for a very sophisticated topic.
Thank you very much, Steve, for your presentation. You have an exciting company that you are working for. I would like to ask you about the DRP technology. Is that applicable to more unapproved drugs than you currently have in your pipeline, you think?
Yeah, the DRP tool can be used on a number of drugs. It doesn't necessarily work on every single drug, but what we found is that the majority of drugs that we have developed a DRP for, because they are drug specific, if you will, we found that they've been incredibly effective, and in some cases, doubling and tripling response rates. So while we currently focus developing our DRP with our current products, the ones that we own, we also develop them for products that we don't own. So the partnership opportunities with big pharma really are quite numerous.
Okay, so what will be the focus of Allarity going forward then? To only focus on the current pipeline drugs, or to in-license additional pipeline drugs, you think?
Yeah, no, our current focus is on the current pipeline drugs. We own the assets we've got. We want to bring the DRP device, if you will, forward along with approvals. We want to demonstrate to the market that we can build both therapies and diagnostics. We will be the first company in the industry, quite frankly, that will be bringing forward diagnostics with clinical data. And it's a very important characteristic. There's many companies out there that describe they use artificial intelligence and various other computer simulating algorithm tools to help inform drug development. What they haven't done is they haven't demonstrated it in the clinic, shown it actually in clinical trials. There's a big difference between theory and modeling, and theory modeling with patients. And we've actually done it with patients, and we've demonstrated and published that we can improve response rates. But that's pretty remarkable.
Yes. Okay. You said that you are going to try to be listed on the US market. And why do you do that? Why do you want to be listed on the US market?
Yeah, we believe that a lot of the drug development as a whole is expensive, and it does require capital. And we think that we want to invite more shareholders into the mix, if you will, more global shareholders, quite frankly, for investment and opportunities for our company. And we think that's probably the best way to do it, to garner a lot of investors that haven't been able to participate. One of the challenges for a company such as ours is we're relatively small and not well known, but they will know us soon as we file some of these things. And I could see a lot of interest by US-based investors to want to participate in our company in the very near future. And that's why we think moving to the US would be a way to be able to invite all those investors to be part of it. And it will return shareholder value to our existing base.
Okay, because you also made a directed issue to a US fund. Could you tell me a little bit more about that fund and why you have chosen them to be a part of your company?
Yeah, so I can't get into a lot of details because it's currently under review with the SEC. But what I can tell you is that the 3i fund that we've announced has obviously had been watching us for some time, and of course, tremendous interest in the company, and felt it was appropriate at time. But I can't comment any details about it right now because we're under SEC normal review period, and so I'm in a blackout right now.
Okay,
and my apologies.
Okay, you also make a right issue to the shareholders of 102 million, but then that is 100% guaranteed. Can you tell me a little bit more about what you would do for this money?
Yeah. We thought it'd be important to make sure that our current investors are able to participate in really a lot of the upside potential of the company, and we also felt that, given that we have a few very near-term related actions, an NDA filing, additional clinical studies, and even a COVID trials, which literally just came about over the past few months, we wanted to make sure that the company was properly funded to take advantage of all that. And so our intent was first to offer that to our existing investor base and then expanding it to the rest of the world. And that's how and why we decided to do what we've done. And, we obviously are excited about it. We're grateful for what our current investors have done for us, and we want to make sure that we return shareholder value back to them.
Yeah, we got a question from our audience. Have you invested your own money in the company?
Yeah, the current situation for me right now, well, first of all, I tell you that 100% of my incentive compensation is tied to the company, 100%. Okay, so the company does well, of course, ultimately I do well. I also hold, which is publicly available in the public market, 3.5 million warrants associated with the company, and that's the current position of me in the company.
Okay. How many shares do you own?
Roughly? I don't own specific shares. I have warrants, and I'm prohibited from owning shares just yet because of under review.
Okay. If I'm a new investor and would like to to know more about the company, what different milestones do you think I would pay attention to during this year? What can I look after and see?
Well, I would say the biggest milestone is we are about to file an NDA, which is a new drug application for approval in the United States for the first treatment for RCC, renal cell carcinoma, including with a diagnostic predictor computer modeling tool. That has never happened before. That's planned to happen this year. I would also say that our activities associated with our work around COVID, another exciting milestone event for us. And then third, the other two assets are in our portfolio about to file and continue its phase 2 trials are happening as well. So we are a company that are measured by our clinical data and measured by our clinical milestones. And for a company of our size to be filing an NDA, developing a COVID treatment, plus 2 other phase 2 treatments in the next 12 to 18 months is really quite remarkable. And I would say they're probably the best measurements of our success.
Thank you very much, Steve Carchedi, for bringing us tonight the information about the company, and we wish you good luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Lars. Thank you.